There's one main thing that I did that helped me go from inconsistent clients to being able to sign clients every single month without having to constantly be launching, constantly be hustling, constantly be selling like a mad woman on my Instagram stories. None of that. And that is creating very valuable content. Now, before I get into what I mean and why this works, there's never just like one magic thing that you can do in your business that's going to completely save you. And once you do this thing, then you're good. No. But I cannot express how important this has been for my business, for my clients' business overall, in terms of actually creating like longevity in your business, helping you create a sustainable concrete for you to use to actually build your business on. And so many people skip this, or they won't necessarily focus on creating that value-led audience, that nurture community that is going to keep buying from them, because they're so focused on, well, let me buy this Instagram stories course because I just need to get better at selling on my Instagram stories. That's the problem. Once I have my messaging, my wording down, we're good. When really they still haven't mastered just creating that community that it's easy to sell to, right? I know messaging is so incredibly important, and it really is, but I don't do my messaging to where I have to have the right exact phrase to say in my Instagram story so that people buy immediately. Like, I'm not coercing them with like just the perfect phrase. It is actually a matter of the value that I've already given them before they even see my sales pitch that helps that sales pitch hit harder, sell easier, because they already know why. My value content has already done that selling for me. It has shown them the value of that program and done the messaging work for me without having to worry about saying or phrasing something in a particular way. In this video, I'm going to teach you exactly how to give value, how to give so much to your audience, and to really take that generosity approach in a way that actually translates to sales, because I know this has been a huge, like, controversial hot topic in the coaching industry. I myself still see to this day like people really saying, no, you cannot give away your stuff because no one's going to buy from you. You have to talk about problem-aware content, right? Or like, you can't, if you give them the how, then they're not going to buy, et cetera, et cetera. And there is truth to that. I'm not here to deny that there's truth, but there's different strategies that are involved with each way of doing things. And the reason why mine works and giving value works is a matter of strategy, is because of the way that I do it, the way that I approach it, and that's why it works. And if you haven't already watched my video where I talk about how to get rid of sales calls, I do go over how to create that foundational aspect of content to make sure that your content does sell for you and does those things. So I would definitely recommend watching that video. However, you can still watch this video first. There's no like order. I didn't make them in an order, but I still recommend watching that because it'll really help you with your messaging and just kind of your positioning overall, which is really important if you want to create this sustainability inside of your business. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to actually create value, how to give value in a way that makes your audience want to buy. But I want to start by telling you a story in case you aren't with me yet and you don't know what I'm talking about, or you don't believe me that value will actually sell. I had just come off a really draining launch where it took a lot of energy out of me. I really didn't want to have to do that again to sign clients, so I just didn't sign clients for months and months because my content, my strategy, my sales weren't optimized for that. Number one, it was only optimized to sell during a launch, so that's another reason why I wasn't making sales. But I was also kind of trying to figure out how to stay relevant, because it felt like as soon as that launch was over, no one cared. And after that launch ended, I really focused on something else. Instead of reselling or retrying to plan a launch, I focused on my content even more. I focused on creating community with my content, giving a lot of value, and creating this kind of audience that wants to keep coming back for more, that's actually getting something out of my messaging, out of my content. And what I started to notice was I was starting to get messages that were from people saying, hey, I would love to know if you have an offer open. I love your content and I've been wanting to work with you, right? And I thought to myself, wow, I have something. There's a reason why people are reaching out to me and I'm not even pitching anything, and people are wanting to work with me because I am showing up like that. I'm showing up with that kind of presence to where people are asking and I'm not selling. So imagine if I do sell something. Imagine if I open something. I'm already going to have that demand for my offer. And when I noticed that, I realized that, oh, if I focus on demand, the sales will be easier. So I started to take those DMs that were coming in, and I started to sign them as clients, even though I had no program. I didn't even write the program. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just knew I wanted it to be like a group kind of container. Didn't know when I was going to start, and I was about to get married too, so I didn't know. Like, it was one of those moments where I was like, I could totally postpone this, but I decided no, we're going to use this as an opportunity. We're going to start in a few months. They're going to be okay with that. And I was getting DMs on the regular because of my content, and yes, this is possible. And I would just say, hey, like, I would turn it into a sales call. At the time I was doing sales calls still. I would turn it into a sales call or a sales conversation. They would sign up. They were more than okay waiting like 2 months to start the program. And I just kept repeating that. And as I repeated that, I thought, okay, I could get more people. Let me just turn this into a promotion. So I said, it wasn't a launch, so to speak, but it was more of, hey, I have this offer, I already have 3 people in my program. You have until X date until the price goes up to this. And that was it. There wasn't this like long thought out launch process because of how much attention I had already paid to my audience. I already had people to sell to. And mind you, I did not have like millions of followers. I did grow my audience organically using Reels, and that's another kind of video topic, and using your visibility strategically. So I really focused on my visibility and nurturing my community. Those two hand in hand really helped me to get these numbers, to get people reaching out. And then the people that weren't reaching out, I sold to on my stories in a very simple way. It wasn't like I was constantly nonstop on Instagram stories, selling. It was like very natural, organic, flowy for me at that point. And I want to preference too, I had already been in business for like 2 years. It took me some time to get to that point. So it's not like it was always easy. But I really value simplicity in my business. And because I focused on this, I'm just saying this to explain how simple everything else can be and how they can work hand in hand when you know how to create that community. And that's why this one thing is so important. Like, you can see where I'm going with this. That meant that once my program started, I had 10 people enrolled at $3,000 each. And that meant I had a $30,000 program after never ever making anywhere close to that amount of money ever before in my business. And I thought, whoa, what did I just do? Did I actually just make $30,000 in sales, right? Did I actually just make $30,000 in sales? And once the program actually started, it was a $10,000 cash month, right? And then the next month was a $13,000 cash month. I was like, my mind was blown with what I was able to do in like a short turnaround time, because I was okay with that like silent couple of months of no sales, no nothing, just focusing on my community. Now, here's why giving value works, right? And when I say giving value, I'm talking about, I'm going to give you the how-to step process of how I did something. And everything's always been about what I did, and here's how I did it. And that's exactly what I'm doing for you in this video as well, right? I'm breaking something down in a very specific manner. And in this case, I'm not giving you just like a general content strategy. I am giving you a specific strategy on giving value in your content that will help you lead to sales, right? That's what I'm gonna do in this video. That's kind of what I mean by why value works. And I kind of want to deep dive a little bit more into why it works as well. Is when you are giving value, a lot of people think that it's just, let me give you the 1, 2, 3 step process of what kind of nutrients you should be eating in your food that will help you clear your skin or something. Like, that's not what I mean by value. What I mean by value is helping people understand why they need what you are talking about, right? In this video, I already went over a story of why value is important because of what it has done. You don't have a strategy yet. You don't know how to do it, but you inherently value the rest of this video now more because of how I positioned the beginning of it, right? Because I explained to you why it's important and I helped you visualize it. I used a story in this example, or just really explaining and educating you on why it's important, what it's going to do for your business, what kind of things it's going to take away, what pain points it's going to solve, etc., etc., etc. Another reason why it works is it is a marketing psychology strategy. Generosity sells. When you have given something to someone, when you can really appeal to their emotion in that way, they feel a lot more gratitude toward you because you are somebody who has given them value. You have already touched them, you've reached them in some level. Again, it's not some generic value, but it's more of, wow, this is the person that really shifted my belief and helped me overcome something. And value isn't just like I have to give you steps as well. Sometimes the value can just be, I could cut the video off and explain to you why you need to give value, and that would be valuable. Because people are like, oh, I needed that. Thank you. That makes sense. I can take that and apply that in my own way, or I can hire you, whatever, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be I'm giving you strategy. It's more that I am showing them and changing their perspective, and then I am giving them the strategy or some steps or something they can take away that they now value more, because the way that I positioned it, I set it up to where now it's clear why this is important. Let's go. Like now, if I were to say, this is the foods that help clear my skin or something, let's say I started that post or that video, whatever, with a story where I talked about how I tried all these different products. They really weren't good for my skin. It was like, I've been through so much, et cetera, like really helping them go through a story of like just what you went through and why you now value the nutrients and foods that you value now. That is a whole different type of value post right there. Like I am now going to perceive everything that you say in a different light. And so it's really important that I set that up that way and explain that to you before I also give you some ways to do this. A reason people tell you not to do it is because it's not a sales fast strategy, right? You telling people what to do and how to do it, whatever, is not going to get you a sale right away. And that's just a fact. It is a long-term strategy. But as I told you at the beginning of this video, it's one of the biggest things that's going to help set that foundation in your business to lay the concrete that you can then build your house on, that'll make it so much easier for you to sell, because your audience will already understand what makes you different. They'll understand how to perceive your offer and what you're selling already, because you've embedded that into your messaging and your value already, that they're like, yes, 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 light bulb moments. I need you to be the one to lead me through this type attitude. And I help people specifically attract high ticket clients, and high ticket clients are not really the ones who need for you to tell them what to do and how to do it, right? There might be like a little bit of that and recommending things, but overall what you're doing is you're attracting somebody who's already putting in the work, and they just want you to guide them with that strategy, not necessarily do it for them, tell them what to do. And that is why it works for the high ticket industry, at least in my strategy, right? There's a bunch of different strategies, a bunch of different ways to do things. Now for me, giving value is way more preferred. I really enjoy just like this video right now is so exciting for me. I'm not even getting paid to post. I don't even know if it's gonna convert. I don't care, because I'm here. I genuinely want to be here. So that's why it works for me, because it's something that I could continuously do, and I am excited to wake up and do. Like that is genuinely the best way that I can explain why I do it this way, is because I don't want to do it another way. This is what I like, and I've seen the fruits of my labor. I know it works. So that's just a plus. So number one, the first thing on giving value is a lot of your content is going to be a perspective shift. This is again where I will refer you back to my video on how to ditch sales calls, because I go over creating your unique differentiator, something that's going to create that, what am I different about? What is different about me? What do I bring to the table? What unique problem do I solve? That in itself is going to be a part of almost all of your messaging, and is going to really serve as value that actually sells your program. So I definitely would watch that if you still don't know that, or you want to understand more of what I mean. But let's say, for example, you're a fitness coach, and maybe you specifically help a lot of stay-at-home moms who don't have 2 hours to spend at the gym every single day getting the gains, and they want a very fast, simple way that they can incorporate a workout routine within their already busy schedule that will help them stay fit, stay alive, stay alert. And that is kind of what your premise is and kind of what makes you different. Now, instead of you creating content that was just like, hey, try my butt workout, you would actually give them a strategy that was more about that unique differentiator. It could be something like, hey, this is how I lost XYZ pounds without having to run it all only on 20 minutes a day, or something to that extent. Or you can break it up. Like, here's how I lose fat without doing any cardio. Or you could even do another post where it's, this is how to lose weight in only 20 minutes a day, and kind of give them a workout routine that way. Now they are still getting value, they're still taking, which is really important. The audience does need to get something from you in order for them to just feel like it is their decision to work with you. The sales process is a lot easier because they have already received. They're more than happy to give, but it's highlighting your way of doing things, right? You're not just saying, here you go, here's some value and information that you're shoving down your audience's throat. You're changing perspective. Hey, you actually don't need to do cardio to lose weight. That's wrong. Here's my strategy to do it my way. I do this in so many different ways where sometimes I don't, like, it's not necessary to actually give any value in any way, like where I'm like, here's the step 1, 2, and 3. It's more of like just myth busting in general, where it's like, you don't need to do this. Like, this is a huge part of your messaging, and you could actually repeat this over and over, and your content will do a lot of selling for you when you get this down, when you're able to kind of balance maybe giving people a lot more value in a long form piece of content, and then maybe your Instagram is a lot more of that opinion based, hey, you don't need this perspective shift style content. There's a lot of different ways that you can do it. I'm gonna lay out like a possible content strategy at the end of this video, but I hope you can kind of see what I mean by changing perspective, why this leads to value, how to do it, etc. Now, number two, another way to look at this is solving specific problems. So many people are solving general problems, so it's not like really getting anywhere with your audience. They're not really picking out what you're putting down. And when you can specifically tackle something so specific and help them overcome that in some way, that does sell because you're speaking right at them, right? You're not just speaking to everybody, anybody. They feel that this is for them. So for example, let's say you're still a fitness coach and your problem is, overeating, right? Or you're having a problem with your food intake. And keep in mind, I am not a fitness coach or a nutritional expert. I'm just using this as an example. That isn't necessarily exactly what I do. Again, let's say the problem is eating. You help people manage a simple diet that can really fit into that busy schedule like I was talking about earlier. With this in mind, I would think about what are some limiting beliefs or limiting factors that make them think that it can't be simple, right? What are reasons why they aren't doing that? Because like a lot of your audience is going to know in this instance that, yeah, you can make food simple. It's all about what you eat, right? It's not just about the workout routine. You need to know how to eat and have a really good food pattern. That's really important for losing weight and staying healthy. I think most people do know that. Now, that's why it's important here where you're kind of thinking about what are the limiting beliefs and like factors that are involved that get someone to still be stuck and think, well, I can't do that. I don't have time to meal prep or whatever, right? Maybe the problem really is I don't know what to eat at the store. I'm overspending when I'm there. I just get really overwhelmed and I just buy what I know can feed a bunch of my family, whatever. Maybe then your solution can be where you go to a Trader Joe's or something and you show them how you easily budget your meals that feed maybe multiple people, but are still healthy and still very filling and nutritious, that you can really just like give them something of value and they can take that and go apply it immediately. And that is my favorite kind of value, when someone can get a very specific, tangible thing they can take from you and then go and then apply to their life right now. They would immediately want to watch what you are buying at Trader Joe's and they'll just go copy it and write it down. And like that will already instantly solve a problem that will go toward the overall transformation that you would then offer in your program, right? So it's like a little piece that is kind of a part of what you do, but it's not the whole piece. And it's a lot more helpful because it's super narrowed in, but it's still very much a part of your strategy. And they can go plug and play it right now, go do that thing and get that value. Those are the people that are going to be in your corner and they're going to want to come back. So whenever you send them an email, whenever you post to your story, whatever, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I love her. What did she tell me today? Let me open this email. Oh, look, she has some spots open. Interesting. Like you see how this starts to work and it starts to formulate that bond relationship. This is also something that just gets views. Like this really works hand in hand with visibility. A huge way that I helped grow my audience in general was creating very specific problem-solving type reels like this, where you literally can go plug and play and like use it right now. And that built a lot of awareness to my brand overall, which made everything else just flow and me selling a lot easier. Now, the third thing that you really need to help your content, your valuable content, actually sell your offer and create that community is educating on the why. Now, I already talked about this because, I like to get ahead of myself, but it is just really important whenever you can educate your audience on exactly why what you are saying is important, right? Like I was saying before, sometimes a story in itself can be valuable because that is helping them see that perspective shift. You're seeing what they don't need and how you help. And like now there's like an aha moment, light bulb, where they're like, oh, like I don't need to do this. I don't need XYZ. A huge thing that I help my clients with and my audience with in my messaging is no launching and no sales calls. And so if I'm going to create like content where I say, this is what I did to stop taking sales calls, and then I can affirm why this works, why my strategy is important, right? And I explain why my strategy for no sales calls works, like why giving value works, they're going to be a lot more interested and a lot more sold on that idea. And they're going to already have the aha moment. They don't need for me to go in depth on what kind of content I make, blah, 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 necessarily every single time in order to understand like okay, this is what I need. This makes sense. They're going to resonate already with the fact that they hate sales calls and that there is now a solution that I am presenting them. This is how I make my content sell, and I give value. And it's always coming from a place of, oh my gosh, I can't wait to tell my audience this. It's very much opinionated, structured kind of content. Everything I do is very much like, this is my opinion, why you don't need it. It's like I'm creating a tribe community of people who are also with me on this specific way of thinking and way of looking at things, right? We don't have time to spend on sales calls every waking day of our life. And I'm a new mom now, and so that's even more apparent. I'm not going to do sales calls every single day, but I will sit down and create a really valuable video on YouTube that will get seen for years and years afterwards, that will help to nurture my community and help with the long-term vision that I have for creating those sales. So that's kind of how I look at it, and everyone who follows me or who wants to work with me is going to sign up with me and agree with that sentiment, because that's the way that I'm leading my community. A good format of how you can plug this in would kind of look something like this, where it's like, here's the hook, like how to do XYZ without this, like that specific hook that's going to solve a specific problem or overcome a perspective shift, something opinionated, right? That's very much in line with what makes you different as a coach, your program different, whatever, etc. Then you can explain what you did and why it worked. What I did, why it worked. Go into depth why it worked. Do you need to give an example? Do you need to story tell? What can you do to explain to your audience that this is exactly what they need and what the missing piece is? These are the problems that they no longer will have to go through when they do it this way. They no longer have to worry about XYZ. They no longer have to worry about jumping on sales calls. They no longer have to worry about doing launches, because this strategy will help serve them in that way. Now, in this third part, it can either be how, so you can give them those tangible steps like 1, 2, and 3, or you can just tell them what happens when, so you can give them kind of like that end result. Okay, now that I did this, now that you know what you need and why you need it, this is what happens when now you've changed your strategy. Here's an example. When I changed this, this is what happened for me. When I incorporated this into my life, into my business, this is what happened for me. Sales were easier. People were coming to me and messaging me on their own, right? I wasn't even selling anything. This was the reality, right? I could have stopped it there at the story, and this I already tackled all of that. But instead, I decided to add the how, where I actually go into how to do this. I'm doing long form content, and that's just what I want to do. So now this is incorporated overall. Your content calendar on Instagram can kind of look something like this. If you are incorporating long form content, which you should, you can do like one a week where you go in more depth, and that's where you can really give the how or give the steps if that's the way that your brain works and the way that you operate. I do a mixture where I story tell and I give value, I educate in that way, and I have different ways that I approach each kind of platform. So YouTube is going to be different than I would approach Instagram. Instagram is going to be a lot more of that perspective shift, but I'm still going to play the Instagram game, right? I'm still going to give those small tips and tangible kind of advice that I know might get more visibility, but still add to my overall messaging and not taint my brand in any way. So this is kind of, this calendar here is something that you can follow on Instagram overall that will help to sell your program and sell for you, but still give value and still help create that community that helps people continue to buy and buy and buy for the rest of time. Value is freaking awesome when you know how to do it right, when you know how to actually sell it. You are selling the value in itself. It's like you're basically selling them on your ideas, your method, your solution. That is what the value is about. They're not going to want something for free or something that's paid if they don't actually value it. Like, that's why you can't just say, hey guys, I have a free content planner, go download it. Who cares? Like, I don't have time for that. Why is that important to me? You still got to educate people, even if you're giving them something for free. It's kind of the same thing. When you can get really good at selling your free stuff, then selling things for paid is just going to be that much easier. That is all I had today for you in this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, also let me know. I will definitely respond to those comments as well. And consider subscribing if you want to see any more future videos. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.